Hello, this is Ty, real quick, just popping in from the future, the year 2024. During the intro you're about to listen to, we briefly mention an earlier episode, despite the fact that this episode is episode 1. Don't worry, this is just a reference to the show's non-canon pilot. You are missing nothing by starting here. So just sit back and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Side Character Quest. I'm your guest, Eli, and with you, as always, is your host.
This is Ty. I need to get better at that. I feel like I do a very bad job of saying my name at the beginning.
Well, you forget it every time.
Yeah.
I have a cue card for you up every single time.
Yeah, that is correct and visible, and you are definitely telling the truth. This is Side Character Quest, where we are, following different side characters on different little mini quests, miniature arcs, and so forth. Last time on Side Character Quest, you were following the story of Urk, a bird person. He doesn't like it when you call him that.
No.
Who was, trying to rescue a long-lost friend. Guess what, though? Guess what? We're not following him anymore because his story is complete. So guess who are we following today, Eli?
Today, we are following Sir Rodrick, a human paladin from the town of Southbend.
Exactly. So let's dive right in at this point. Oh my gosh, I keep saying dive right in. All right.
Let's play some Dungeons and Dragons. Let's roll some dice.
Let's roll some dice. And so for your first dice roll, give me a Constitution check.
Right off the bat, huh?
Yeah, right off the bat. Speaking to the mic, Eli.
Right off the bat. All right. Constitution check. I got a 5.
Oh, geez. I wasn't expecting this to go like this. I only had you roll because you said that. But you are awakened by a loud thud. You sit up upright in a pretty nice bed, feather bed. You are in your room in your nice, kind of old rustic house. What does your bedroom look like?
It's probably fairly standard and not sparse. It has everything that you'd expect in a bedroom. A bed, bedside table,
flat screen,
a lamp. But does not have any real extra decorations. Rodrick is a pretty militaristically diligent man. There is a large silver sun hanging from the wall, which is a symbol of the god that he follows, Lumen. And that's what the room looks like.
Cool.
Probably maybe a rug or like a good mat where he can do some exercises on.
Yeah. So you actually, when you hear that loud thud, the first thing you do is you look around your room trying to see where that came from. You see a chest at the foot of your bed. You see that Lumen thing sort of shaking a little bit. That Lumen holy symbol shaking a little bit. You also see off in the corner of your room, you see your chimney, which has a mantle above it, which is where you normally keep your warhammer, which has fallen to the ground, and that is what awoke you.
Okay, so I hop out of bed and I pick up my warhammer. So the thud was the warhammer falling.
Yeah, that appears to be what that was, yeah.
And the room is shaking right now?
It doesn't really look like it's shaking right now. It might have been shaking before.
Okay. Then what I do is I quickly throw on just some plain clothes.
Okay.
And head out my room with the warhammer to investigate what's going on.
Okay. So you open the door to your room, and you enter into a living space. It's also pretty Spartan, but very well made. It looks like an older home. It was passed down to you by your parents, who got it from their parents back when they lived in this town. They do not anymore. The chimney in your bedroom is sort of connected to a chimney that's in the center of the wall in the living space that you're in. You're just sort of looking around, trying to get your bearings, see what the fuss is. But everything seems calm at this point. It seems pretty okay. And all of a sudden, you hear some banging on your front door.
Okay. I go to the front door and I whisper. Hold on, I have this thing up on my other screen that I want to make sure I get right. Before I go to the door and I whisper to myself, "Never fear to act, though caution is wise." And I spring the door open, ready for whatever is on the other side.
You spring the door open and you're just looking straight out, and there is nothing in front of you. But then you hear, you feel a tugging on your pant leg, and you look down, and there is a small child. And the child says, "Sir Roddy, sir, I was told to come get you by Pa."
Yes, child. Do I recognize the child?
You do recognize the child. This child is the child of your boss, Sheriff Jaime.
And do I know the kid's name?
Do I know the kid's name? Let's find out what the kid's name is. The kid's name is Niffy.
Niffy?
Yeah, Niffy. Niffy.
Okay, cool. Then I lean down and I say, "Hello, young Niffy.
Hi, mister.
What does your father request?"
He wants you to come. He wants you to come see him. He just rode in from one of the farms. He needs your help with something.
Right away. And with that, I go back to my room and I put on my armor that I very rarely leave and never on official business without.
I assume it was in that chest at the foot of your bed?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Very, neatly and precisely packed away.
Cool. Yeah, so you get your whole get up on. You've got the same holy symbol emblazoned on one of your gauntlets. I think you had mentioned having a family crest at some point out of recording.
On my shield.
Gotcha.
The holy symbol is that same silver sun, but the family crest of my family is a large giant.
Okay.
Wielding a warhammer, and that is on the shield that I carry.
Okay. Yeah, so you have those things. You grab you're taking your warhammer, and you head back out the door. And the little kid is now standing next to your small barn that's a little bit away from your house.
Yes.
She's waiting for you over there.
Okay, I say, "Come, Niffy, let us ride on Sunlight," and I lead her into
Your horse's name is Sunlight? That's delightful.
Well, it's partially because when we enter the barn, in a stall is a beautiful Palomino horse, and for those who don't know what horse colors are, it's like a blonde color.
Yeah.
And I'm a paladin who follows the deity Lumen, a god of light, so I named my horse Sunlight. And that's why its name is Sunlight.
Oh, that's delightful.
I quickly and efficiently saddle the horse and ride towards the sheriff's house with Niffy on the back.
You have to go up a small hill. You guys have a forest behind you, and this hill takes you up past a old church that's pretty far away from town. When you get to the top of the hill, you can see down a ways, make a short ride. You see the bend in the road between two farms, and that bend is the namesake of the town, the Southbend. And you ride down this path towards that South Bend to the home that Sheriff Jaime is staying at. You ride up to it, and I assume you took Niffy with you, right?
Yeah. She's riding on the back of the horse.
Yep. And so she hops down with you, or when you guys pull up, she hops down and stumbles a little bit, but then catches herself and then just sort of stands waiting for you. Come on, Mr. Rodrick.
Okay, I tie up Sunlight and follow Niffy.
You guys make your way over to the house, and you open the front door, and inside you see a older man that you know of as Sheriff Jaime. He's a human man. He's got a little bit of a beard, but it's pretty well trimmed up. He is wearing like leather armor, but nothing nearly as what's the word I want to say? Pretentious isn't quite the right word, but as showy as your armor. Nothing quite that much. He sees you, and he has a, he sort of nods and drinks out of a mug, gestures towards your seat.
As soon as I see him, I snap to attention and salute and say, "Good morning, Sheriff."
At ease. He is
and
sort
I
of
kind of
at a loss. He's sort of used to your strict protocol that you hold yourself to, but he doesn't seem to really be going along with it. He motions, "Come on, sit down. Sit down on one of these chairs, all right?"
I walk behind the chair and say, "If it is okay, I prefer to stand, sir."
Yeah, he sort of like shakes his head a little bit. That's fine. Do you want any tea or anything?
No, thank you, sir. I had a drink of water when I woke up.
Oh, all right. So he sort of shifts around nervously, and then like looking at you standing up, he and stands up himself. And now you guys are both standing next to each other. He's an older guy. He's not very old. Maybe in his like you are probably in your mid-20s. He's more in his early to mid-40s. So he's only older compared to you. Not he's not an old guy. But he is a little bit. He's got a little bit of a paunch. He's got a little bit of a slouch. But he's pretty well built. Other than that. And Niffy is sort of like has now moved over to a chair and is sort of like climbing over the back of it. Jaime like sort of steps over and he like puts his hand onto your shoulder, and he says, "Roddy, I don't want you overreacting about this. All right, we live in a good town. We live, this is a good place, a safe place. There's nothing really, bad ever going about. All right, just keep that in mind. All right." Can you promise me that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I had we had an incident recently that I'd like you to check out, and I gotta stress, this is probably nothing. Probably just a little kid like run off. Just kids get lost. That's their prerogative. But I need you to go check out this kid, try to find her, and I just need you to like.
Sir, a child is missing?
And he sort of like looks you in the eye and is like, "Now listen, this is not that big of a deal. Sure, she's just, run off somewhere from her ma. It's not that big of a deal. I just need you to go check it out. She's probably just off in the woods somewhere. I'm sure she'll show up in like a day or two. It's not that big of a deal. I owe a favor to her ma, so I'm having you check it out personally, all right? But
I look
don't
at him
be surprised
and
if nothing comes of this, all right?"
Sir Rodrick looks at him and recites another part of his oath of devotion and says, "Protect those entrusted to your care, sir. I will find her."
He sighs again, but he also smiles a little bit because he's like, "All right, I know I can trust this guy." Like, he thinks you're a little goofy, but like, he does trust that you will like do the right thing. So he's like, "All right. So what do you want to know? What can I tell you about this? Help you track this girl down."
Well, sir, first things first. Who is missing?
Do you remember those two scavenger people that came through the other day? They scavenger's not the right word. More of like they like go through the roughage, look for stuff for those wizards up north. Like they
Yes, sir.
look like mushrooms and stuff, those sorts of things.
Certainly, they came through 2 days ago, approximately 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
He shakes his head again, like, I don't know why you know these things, but yes, that's right, that's right. And well, they were out in the woods, sometime, for the one night, and the mom came back through last night, and she didn't know where her daughter had gone off to. She had, they had been a little bit off to the south, and well, she roamed off somewhere. I don't know what happened to her, but listen, the girl's probably gonna come back, but you know how it is.
Sir, permission to speak freely.
Yeah, permission granted.
If I may say, sir, I have stated numerous times that I believe the woods can be dangerous at night. I must insist that we put forth a curfew for travel through these parts.
All right. How about
this is clear? This is something that Sir Rodrick has probably brought up several times as like a public safety thing.
Yes. And he is Sheriff Jaime is like, listen, all right. Here's the deal. We have not had any issues except for the occasional wolf, there hasn't been anything. We had those roamers a while back that were causing trouble, but other than that, like,
sir,
yeah.
The wall climbers came from that area, and they proved to be a threat that we were not prepared for. Sorry if I stepped out of line. I apologize.
All right. Listen, if you go out and you find this little girl and there's something amiss, we'll talk again about doing this. We'll talk about putting in some sort of curfew. If we go out and she just run off, then I want you to put this to bed for a while, right?
Yes, sir. As you wish.
All right. So he describes this place that they had gone as somewhere a little bit south of where your house is, where you live, past the church into the woods. So you know pretty much where they had gone. You know that it's about a few hours ride away on horseback, and that once you get a little bit farther out there, you'll probably have to go on foot for a bit because the trail sorts of dies off. But you can get a good bit of the way there on horseback. So do you do anything to prepare? Are you just gonna immediately head out?
Before I leave his place, I turn to him on my way out and I say, "Sir."
Yeah.
In my absence, I highly recommend that Private Hayfree be drafted to resume my duties as a guard and during my perform my patrols in my stead, and I ask that you request that Clara Seidel take over my duties at the church, sir.
All right, I'll talk to Seidel. Hayfree's a little busy out with on the farm, but like I'll talk to him. I'll see if he can make it over.
Thank you, sir. I do not want my duties to fall to the wayside as I am on this special mission, sir.
I'll watch. Okay, I'll watch out for the town. All right, and I'll send Niffy out to go get Hayfree and Seidel. All right.
Yes, sir. And before I turn away to leave, I'll leave with one last well-practiced: be responsible for your actions and their consequences, sir. I will be back. And then I turn to leave.
All right, bye. Bye, Rowdy. Niffy waits you by.
And I look and I do a quick head bob, like a nod, a very stern nod.
Niffy nods back the same way.
And then I go and retrieve sunlight and ride back to my my house, where I grab sort of my pack. There's always a go bag prepared for any sort of special mission or quest that I may be called to do, and start riding towards the area that the child went missing. Okay.
On your way out of this area, you see a few townspeople. You see somebody going into the church, and now you're on your way out of the city and into a path that goes into the woods.
As I head into the woods, I whisper a prayer. Great Lumen, please light my path. and keep me safe in your eternal light. Amen.
Excellent. When you're riding around, are you what exactly are you doing as you're going on this path? These few hours to get to where this missing child was supposed to be.
I'm riding very professionally. I'm very well trained. I am, very well trained on a horse. So I'm kind of focusing on the ride while in my head reviewing things such as possible areas that I believe that a child might go missing, possible threats that could potentially arise from the woods, mostly inflated threats, such as, a resurgence of raiders that may come and threaten the town. I'm also going through like several religious prayers of protection, invoking Lumen to protect the child and keep her safe while I go to find her.
Okay, you roll me a perception check. Roll me a perception check with advantage for your entire time running down this path. To let me know if you notice much of anything.
Okay, let's see. 15.
Yeah, so going along the way, you see deer, you hear some wolf howls at one point, which aren't super uncommon where you are. You guys are pretty close to the woods, so like it happens. I mean, you're pretty far from other towns and other cities where like the wolves are kept away.
Sure.
But other than that, you don't notice much sign of life. You do happen to see some mushrooms as you're going along. They don't look particularly out of the ordinary or special or like anything that a wizard might ask somebody to go get. But it does sort of make you think like, okay, maybe this is the direction, this seems right. This seems like the direction that these people might have gone.
Okay.
As you get closer, continuing down this path, you get to a point where the path is closed off to the point where you can't really ride your horse anymore. And there's, a nice, there's a large rock in the woods with some vines coming out of it and stuff like that. What do you do at this point?
Is this I can't ride my horse, so I have to get off and lead it, or like the horse will not fit through at all?
You could probably lead it for a little bit longer, but it's going to get to the point you kind of get the impression, and just from your knowledge of this area, you kind of get the impression that you will not be able to ride it much. You will not be able to lead it much farther, and you will definitely not be able to ride it again for a while.
Okay, cool.
Like the horse was basically your fast travel to get into the middle of the woods, but then once you're in the middle of the woods, you're, off the horse.
Okay, do I know this? Would I know this area to be safe? Like a place I could leave my horse and nothing would happen? A well-trained horse and nothing would happen to it? Or do I not know this area at all?
Yeah, your horse is pretty standard to take care of itself. You've seen it kick a feral dog. You've seen it defend itself. So short of like a pack of wolves or a very angry bear, the horse will probably be fine. Or
Okay.
like a person.
Then
but you haven't. People don't come out this way very often, which is why Jaime sent you out. Because,
Okay.
they're not expecting the kid to find anybody.
Yeah. Okay, then I take my pack off the horse and I tie its reins sort of to the saddle, so not to a tree or anything. It's not like tied to a tree. And I look at it and I pet it on the head and I say, "Stay safe, Sunlight. I will be back shortly."
Cool. He?
Let's say she.
I could roll for it.
Yeah, roll for it.
He.
Okay, cool.
Sunlight is a
Either
boy
way.
horse. So Sunlight sort of whinnies at you a little bit, and then just sort of starts chewing on a little bag of oats that's wrapped around its face.
I reach into a pocket and pull out a sugar cube to feed it.
He licks that right up.
Yeah, I head in.
So you're heading deeper into the forest, and you know that this is the point where you're going to actually having to start really paying attention to your area, because this is where this sounds like the place where the woman had mentioned looking for the mushrooms, and looking for and losing her child, somewhere after the point where she had to get off her horse. So you're going a little bit off away from this path, looking around, and you do roll me a survival, I will say, or perception. You can argue either way.
They're equal, so
Okay.
let's see. Oh, I don't know why I rolled 2 die or why neither of them landed on the table. So let's try that again. All right, I got an 11.
11. Yeah, you looking around, you notice a little bit, you notice a footprint in the mud. It looks like a bigger footprint, like the mom. You also notice that it appears to be heading off in a particular direction, so I assume you just go off in that way.
Yes.
Yeah. You keep on walking, out off of this beaten path. You hear an owl hooting.
You said I hear an owl hooting.
You do indeed hear an owl hooting. And
Okay.
that's like the first thing that's happened out here.
Okay, I'm going to use... Let's get into some real fantasy shit.
Oh, snap.
I say, Lumen, let those using... Hold on, sorry. Edit that out.
Okay, I will.
I say, Lumen, make that which is unclear, clear in your light. And then I cast Detect Magic.
Oh, snap. Oh, interesting. Okay. You cast that, and what does that do? Tell me what that does.
For up to 10 minutes, I sense the presence of magic within 30 feet of me.
Oh, cool. Okay.
If I sense magic in this way, I can use an action to see a faint aura around any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, and I learn its school of magic, if any. It can penetrate most barriers, but it is blocked by 1 foot of stone, 1 inch of common metal, a thin sheet of lead, or 3 feet of wood or dirt.
Gotcha. Oh man, I've never heard anybody actually describe how that works. You are sort of looking around, getting this holy insight into your area. You see that you don't see anything in particular until you look at some of the mushrooms along the path, and you notice that a couple of them are giving off a faint glow, and they appear to be leading off in a direction. This row of mushrooms. They'll just be like
right.
one every few feet. They mostly look like they've been picked up, broken off, and grabbed and gathered.
All right, well, as I say at Bonnaroo, let's follow the shrooms.
All right, man. So you are following. You are following this row of... You're proud of that, right?
I am proud of that one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so you follow these mushrooms that are going off in one of the directions. Gosh, I need to get better at describing directions. There's sort of god rays coming in from the forest, lots of leaves cover, and it without this detect magic, it would be very difficult for you to follow this path of mushrooms, because on one hand, they're most of them have been picked up and plucked. On the other hand, they're largely covered up by leaf cover, foliage, and stuff.
Okay.
But as you're going and following these, you notice a string that's sort of stretched out in the leaf cover next to one of the mushrooms.
A string, so it's taut?
Yes, it's taut.
Okay. With my military training, I've realized that this is a trap of some sort, so I follow the string to both ends to see what it might be triggering.
Yeah, so you follow it to one end, and there's nothing there. You follow it to the other end, and it's hooked up to some sort of like kind of like a spring kind of thing next to a bell. Sort of looks like if you were to break that string or pull that string, it would ring the bell real loud.
Okay. What would Sir Rodrick do in this situation? Okay. Does it look as though it has been tripped any time recently?
No, it does not look like it has been tripped recently. It does look, you only notice this because it was next to one of the glowing mushrooms, glowing because of your spell. It clearly has either been there abandoned for a long time or was hidden to look like it had been untouched for a long time.
Well, with Sir Roderick's level of paranoia, he is going to assume the latter and believe
Perfect.
that this is some sort of, I have stumbled across some sort of hideout for brigands and raiders and such. So at this point, I carefully step over the string so as to not trigger the bell and continue to follow the mushrooms. But now I have my warhammer out, prepared for any sort of combat.
Okay. Roll me a perception check.
18.
18. Okay. So as you're walking along, you notice right as you were getting ready to step on it, maybe you step a little lightly, and it doesn't have the substance that you want. The ground doesn't. You realize that you're about to step onto a pit trap.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you sort of step backwards really quick to avoid putting any full weight on there.
Interesting. So here's what I do. Are there bushes or like a good hiding spot that I can hide behind near the bell?
Yes, this is a thick forest. You would need to roll me a stealth roll to see how well you do it, but I will only let you roll that after you decide to do it, so that you do not you can't like choose to not hide because you do a bad job.
Sure, yeah, definitely.
But I'll give you advantage because I assume you have time to do that. Make it look good.
Well, I have disadvantage on stealth checks with my chainmail.
Okay, so you have, it cancels out.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick up a rock, and I'm going to hide near the bell.
Okay.
And then I'm going to chuck the rock at the bell so that it rings the bell.
Okay, roll your stealth.
19.
19. Very, very well hidden, the guy.
Yeah, I'm a very large, very armored, very well hidden man.
Yes. So you throw that rock, and takes you a couple tries, but you got a couple rocks. You manage to hit that string, and it sets off that bell. It makes a surprisingly loud sound considering. And when it does, you hear some hoot, hoot, hoot from an owl nearby. And then as you hear that hoot, hoot, hoot from an owl nearby, the hoot, hoot, hoot gets a little bit close for comfort, and does 11 hit.
Oh, he saw me?
The owl did.
The owl sees all, I guess.
Yeah.
No, an 11 does not hit.
Okay. An owl like flies by you, tries to hit you with its talons, and then flies away. And then it's going to turn around and try the same thing again, unless you take an action.
Well, while it flew past me, I swiped at it with my hammer.
Owls
using an opportunity attack.
Owls, fun fact, have an ability called Flyby. The owl doesn't provoke opportunity attacks when it flies out of an enemy's reach. So, good try.
Fuck owls. Okay. Okay, well then, so it's in the air.
Yes.
I am drastically ill-prepared for a flying enemy.
One thing to keep in mind, this owl is not glowing.
Ooh. Okay. Then I am not going to leave my hiding spot. Fuck that owl.
Probably a good idea.
Good try, Satan. Not today, motherfucker.
The owl swoops down a second time. And I'm assuming that a 8 doesn't hit you either. So It
No,
swoops down
no,
and
no, no,
swoops
no,
away,
no.
and as it does, you hear a loud whistle coming from up past a hill, down the path that you were heading towards. And with that whistle, the owl turns and flies in that direction.
Okay. Hmm.
And the owl's gone now.
I guess I sit for a few minutes
All
and
right.
listen to determine if anyone is coming this way.
You wait for a few minutes and roll me a perception check.
20.
Oh snap!
Not an
I was
actual,
not really
not a critical hit.
okay.
Yeah.
20 was like the limit I was gonna give. So you hear like off a bit in the distance. You hear a little bit of like a little bit of shuffling, and you hear a little bit of like oh shit, oh god man, no man. But it's fairly quiet. Like it's sort of like person like cursing to themselves who doesn't want to be loud but is like can't help themselves. And then that is quiet, and then that's all that you get.
Can I do an insight check to determine if this is a person in trouble or in pain?
You can tell that it is neither. This is a person that is like
Okay.
that is panicked, but it's not like a pained thing.
And were they coming this way?
No, they seem to be like all of the cursing seem to be happening at the same distance. But then it stopped and did not happen for like another minute or so, which is where we are right now.
Okay, then once again, I say, never fear to act, though caution is wise. And I continue to walk. I walk towards the voice.
I really like these sayings that you have for yourself. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, it's part of the oath of devotion. There are tenets of devotion, and it's honesty, courage, compassion, honor, and duty, and they all have different like things.
So that's like a part of the D&D thing. It's not something that you came up with necessarily.
Yeah, I didn't make it up. I'm just
Okay.
using it straight out of the D&D book, but I like it a lot, so I was like, I'm gonna adopt this.
Yeah, I like that you say them actively. So you said you were off in that direction.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, cool. So you go up this, following this path. The mushrooms sort of veer off. And as you're sort of cresting this hill, your spell wears off. So the mushroom's sort of going off to the left of this path, and as you continue along this path, you see a small shack off in the distance. And it looks like really poorly put together, but it looks pretty lived in. Although you don't see any movement in there right now.
Okay. I am suspicious,
Okay.
but then
Fair.
I say to myself, treat others with fairness and let your honorable deeds be an example to them. And I put my weapons away and walk towards the shack.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go up to the door and knock on it.
Give me a dexterity check.
Oh, tits. My dexterity is not good. Ah, 17.
Oh, nice. Okay, so you, as you're stepping forward, walking down the path towards this little shack, you hear a louder crunch than you would expect, and you hear like a creaking sound, and then a large log goes flying at you from the side, and you real quick throw yourself forward as this log flies by and very narrowly misses you. And yeah, you just came very close to getting slammed by this thing, and it sort of swings back and is settled down in the middle of this path, just sort of hanging there.
I feel my temper rising because at this point, this is pretty much the third trap that I've avoided, and before I find myself getting to the boiling point, I temper that with, and I say, "Show mercy to your foes, but temper it with wisdom," and I continue to calmly walk towards the door.
Gotcha. As you are stepping towards this door, you notice something on the door that you haven't seen in a few years. and it's something that reminds you. So you're a guy who is always ready for anything. You've sort of held yourself to a very high standard of military readiness that honestly is like has never really been necessary in the place that you've lived. This place is like very chill, very calm, very peaceful, except for this one period of time where there were these roamers, these raiders who were going through. They were stealing from people. They were, vandalizing homes. And they were occasionally even kidnapping people and holding them for ransom. You were actually instrumental in bringing these guys down, this group of folks 2 or 3 years ago. And it sort of reinforced your sense of like, I've got to always be ready.
Well, not only did it reinforce, but I would say that, like you said, this is a town that you don't need this sort of military training. So it also served as the one and only time where I've actually had to face real combat, not breaking up a bar fight, not stopping like an argument between a married couple. This was, I fought someone to the death and came out on the other side, and it is something that has stuck with me since then.
Yeah, and with that in mind, you see the Romer symbol on this wall. You see a gnarled vine on this door. You see it scratched in, and this gnarled vine with covered with thorns and with a light, a fire burning on the top of it. You know that this shack is associated with those raiders, and that's where we're gonna stop for today.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Well, all right. Cool.
So let's do a sign off real quick.
Yeah, we can do a quick sign off.
All right.
How did we sign off last time?
I think we sang a little song.
Oh, yeah. So this has been a side character quest. Do.
Dude, that's stupid, and we should not do that.
Well, hey, it's too late now.
Yeah.
It's in there.
I mean, at least as long as you're around. Thanks to the Joy Drops for the use of Not Drunk as our intro and outro music. Find them at thejoydrops.com. You can find us at sidecharacterquest.com, at SCQ Podcast on Twitter, or by email at sidecharacterquest@gmail.com. At this point, we don't have tons of messages, so we'll probably respond.
There'll be like a little music playing and then bloopers.
Yeah, so you are going to ride off in that direction. What are you doing?
Huh?
I just saw you like leaning over in front of the camera. I didn't understand what was happening.
Oh no, sorry. I have my notebook down here.
Oh, gotcha.
Is this going in the podcast?
This might end up in the bloopers, but anything else, I probably not.
I've never played a character that is super religious before. So that's something that I'm really liking. Like, I wish I had like prepared, I guess. Like some prayers.
Yeah.
But I figured I would just let it come naturally. I've also never played a like military character. All the characters I've ever played have been very informal, very like, I don't know, like I played a Minotaur once and a drug dealer, so this is different to me. I've never played a character who is currently living in his hometown, so this is all like new territory as far as like role playing for me.
Yeah. I think that's
It's
pretty
very
good.
interesting.
I'm glad with how it's going so far. This has not been the yuck fest that it was, like yuck as in like yuck yuck yuck, not like vomit. Man, what am I even saying now? All right, and so that's the end.
This world is a peaceful one. Plains, mountains, swamps, pines, cicadas sing, rivers flow, magic thrums through the air, and all of it surrounded by a single massive wall, as ancient as history itself. So, not that ancient. Thanks to the loss, prehistoric ain't all that long ago. Oh well, life is good, and assuming you don't mind the looming threat of a mysterious skeletal society.
Side character quest. A D&D adventure, one player at a time.
Some worlds need a hero. This one? Might need a bit more than that.